Time to go to a bigger nozzle. 7.5 hours, 88%. Got my girlfriend helping me with the hobby. Now that I changed the nozzle, I'm printing the last part. And this one's only been going for an hour and it's 59% done. I put a 0.8 nozzle in there instead of a 0.4, so technically I'm printing double the material with every pass. Helps out a lot. Alright, so now I got these parts printed out off my Ender 5 Pro for my power supply project for my new charger. About to start putting it together and assemble it. Came out pretty good for the first prints. Still have some tuning to do on this, but overall happy with it. The next one to finish is this one. I'll start printing out some other parts and get it up and running so I can print some more things. Alright, so today I'm going to be working on my power supply that I'm building for my quad charger. This will be to charge all the batteries for the boat. I have 4 6S batteries for that, which I also use in the 5th scale car, 2 6S, so I got 2 pairs for that one, which is the same batteries for that one, 4. So I got 2 750 watt HP power supplies, 12 volts each. I got some materials here. On my 3D printer, I printed out this thing off of Thingiverse. Basically a case. I modified it a little bit in CAD. On Amazon, I got this display screen. And I got these 2 connections so I can hook up my battery cables. And then this is the back piece. These 2 pieces go around the power supplies to squeeze them together once you get them all wired up. Got all my materials. I printed those pieces on my 3D printer. I got over there running now, printing some upgrades for the printer itself. But what I gotta do to this one is, this is 12 volt, this is 12 volt, and then I need to float the ground. So since I'm gonna run them in series, 12 volt, 12 volts, gonna be 24 volts total. You need to separate the ground from this case. If not, when you run them in series, you'll end up with a short and it won't work. So I got some resistors to activate them and turn them on, and I got some nylon bolts and washers to make the case not touch the chipboard, which will then in turn float the ground for one of the units. You can find all the information on YouTube. There's plenty of information to convert 2 power supplies, server power supplies, into a 24 volt power supply for your RC charging needs. So I'm gonna sit down and start messing with this now and get some pictures once we're done. Alright, so now what I did was, to isolate the ground from these boards here, I'm using nylon washers, nylon nuts, nylon washers and nylon screws. I took 1 millimeter off each one of these bosses inside here to isolate the board from the case, and I'm going to put these nylon washers under the board and bolt it down with the nylon bolts. That's going to eliminate the ground from the case going to the board. I'm still going to hook up this ground here coming from the electrical socket, the inlet. That's going to go to case ground. So I'm still running the case ground to ground the case, I'm just not grounding the board. Next will be to solder these resistors on each board from the 1st pin and the 4th pin. The 1st pin and the 4th pin, and those will be soldered right here. 1st pin, 4th pin. This is what's actually going to trigger each one of these power supplies to turn on. Then after that, I'm going to have to solder them up with some wires to run them in series. I'm going to be going from negative to positive, and then I'll have my wires going out to my panel. So let me get this back together and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so now that I got these 2 assembled back together and I got the diodes soldered on, I don't know if you can see that. Got the diode soldered on each one, on the first and the fourth terminal. And now what I'm going to do is I got this 3S battery just to verify that I got the multimeter set right. Red to red, black to black, I got 10.7 volts. If I swap it around, red to black, black to red, I get negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check these machines here. Check these power supplies to see which one of these terminals are positive and negative so I know which way I have to solder them. I'm going to plug each one in the back. I've already checked for ohms. So since I isolated the ground, this one is my floating. So if I touch this terminal in the back, the middle one, my floating ground, I touch the terminal in the back, I got case ground. And if I touch the circuit board, nothing. So this ground is successfully floated. This one, on the other hand, if I touch it in the back, I got case ground, and the circuit board itself has ground as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug these into this harness that I bought. This is a 2-into-1, so that I only have one harness going into each one of my power supplies and plugging into the wall. Be careful, you don't want to touch nothing here, you might shock yourself. Alright, I heard them both click. So now I'm going to be checking for voltage. I hear the fans kicked on. I got negative 12 volts. I've got 12 volts. So that means my negative is here and my power is here. 12 volts. 12 volts out of both of them. So my negative is on the left and my positive is on the right. Got my marker here. Negative, positive, negative, positive. So now what I'm going to do, my floated ground is going to go from the negative here. My floated ground is going to go from the negative here to the positive here. Let's cross that one out. This is my negative side. This is my positive side. So now this is going to be my positive. This is my floating ground. On this side, I'm going to have my positive going out to my battery terminal, which in this case is the red. My positive is going to go to the red here. My negative is going to go to the black here. And now my positive on the non-floating unit is going to go to the negative on the floating unit. And I'm going to get these soldered up and get them set up in the housings, and then we'll come back. Alright, so now that I got all the wiring done, soldered up, was not easy. I had to solder everything in the hole. I got everything done now, all soldered up. Resistors done inside the mount. I'm going to snap on the back and get it all turned on, double check everything, and then I'll show you how I'm going to finish it off. Alright, now that I got it back together, I got it on and running. Putting out 24 volts. Verifying that with my multimeter. This is how she came out. Wrapped it with some carbon fiber on the sides. Got the ratings on the front. Built by Richie on the top. With the wiring harness that I bought to plug 2 in. This will be charging pretty much all my batteries for my remote control cars, boats, airplanes, everything. Saved me a couple bucks and got a custom one instead of ordering one. Pretty nice. I'm happy how it came out. got my power supply over here hooked up to my new charger. Charging my 4 CnhL 6S monsters. And it's almost done. It's been going for about 22 minutes. Way better than 2 hours. I can't complain. Super happy with my new setup.